All right, traders, it is time to prepare to trade the best setups at the best prices. I am going to be walking you through my updated price action analysis on the SPY. Let's get straight into this video. Towards the end, I'm going to be recapping the trades that were made today and going over the price action of what occurred today. Let's start off with the new updates. So in terms of the SPY, we are now back towards the lower middle end of this channel. We've been sitting in this channel, since September 23rd for the most part. It recently bottomed out at 358.72. And in terms of today it ended up bottoming out at $359.70. With that being said, this is what I want you to understand about the SPY. It is at a make it or break it point in the channel. So let's go over the key trading levels for tomorrow. Our key level, you can call it a key level zone, I would say, is like $364 to about $364.70. This previous support zone that reacted as a resistance level, sold back off to the low end of the channel. As you can see right here, it reacted as a resistance level, sold back off to the low of the channel. This time, however, it's reaching for slightly higher highs on this day, and it's putting in slightly higher lows. Now, with that being said, I need you to understand that we are at a make it or break it zone. The top end, I would say, in terms of this middle make or break, would be like 364. 364 to 364.70, that'd be your top end. In terms of your low end make it or break it support, that is going to be the closing price of today, the previous closing price. So $362.79. So here's what I want you to understand. I want you to think of SPY, it's sitting in a small micro channel. In the bottom of that channel right now, in terms of the middle, would be $362.79. And then the top end of that channel, which would be make or break resistance, would be 364 to 364.70. So if the SPY were to continue to react as a resistance level at this level, it would try to sell back off and crack this 362.79. Now, in order for the bears to flip this super bearish tomorrow, it needs to top at 364 to 364.70. And what must occur for the bears to truly be in control for tomorrow and to really start to crack down below this channel? You would need a strong crack of 362.79, a nice green to red move. As you can see right now, the SPY is currently moving up in extended hours. It is currently gapping up. It closed at 362.79 and it is currently gapping up, right? So the bulls are attempting to break above resistance here. They are trying to push above the channel. For the bulls to remain in control, they need to break above this channel and turn it into a support level. If you see that occur, for the most part, SPY is really going to try to rip and break out tomorrow. If you see it break above this 364 to 364.70, it's breaking out, it's forming support, and it has a strong push above 365, we will see an overall run. If that occurs, an overall run to right here, this previous support level, which is what we're going to call 369.50, which is what I would say would be one of the best level for put options tomorrow, this previous support at 369.50. So again, let's go over the overall channels, right? So in terms of the top middle, 364.70 to 364, that's your top middle zone. If it reacts as a resistance there and starts to break down, that's bearish, and it's gonna try to flip green to red once it fills the gap at 362.79. If that occurs, if it bottoms, it's going to try to push back up and break out towards the higher end of the channel, which is overall bullish attempt. If it cracks, flips red, turns it into resistance, breaks down, it's bearish. But I would say it would be extremely tough to go super bearish tomorrow and crack this 359. That's something that as of now, I just don't see happening. But if it were to happen, you would need to see that crack under 362.79, and then you would need to see a crack below 360 and turn it into a resistance. For the most part, based on like how we're currently looking, the bulls are trying to step in. They're trying to take some control. For them to be fully in control, it needs to stay above 362.79. We need to stay above the 362 zone, and they need to break above this 364 to 365 zone. If they push above 365, it flips super bullish for a run to 369, 369.60s, which would basically be this like 369 mid zone would be like your best price for puts. So that's my thoughts. That's my analysis heading into tomorrow. Those are the key make it or break it levels. So again, in terms of the key levels that I would encourage you to focus on that are make it or break it levels are $369 to $369.50. That's your put zone. Now, in terms of your make it or break it top zone, 364 to 364.70. In terms of your make it or break it bottom zone, 362.79. Those are the key main levels that I would focus on. So yeah, that's really what it is that I'm going to be looking at and focusing into tomorrow's overall trading price action. And if there were some Hail Mary play, if this were to drop under $359 somehow, some way tomorrow later into the day, I would look to play some power hour calls at 3 p.m. if SPY was beaten down to the ground right before power hour. That's one thing. So now let's kind of get into the recap of the price action and the overall trades. So in terms of the trades, in the morning, I did play puts. I got out so soon though. I literally sold the puts 2 minutes into the open. I believe I bought my puts like literally right here when this was at like 9:39 p.m. And then I sold like 2 minutes later for a small win. And this thing just kept on getting rocked, man. It just kept on getting rocked for, pretty much 30 minutes straight after I sold it. Absolutely crazy how well that would have worked if I held a little bit longer. But no regrets, I'm a scalper. But in terms of one way I could have prevented that was to just kind of wait for the green candles to form. And there was no green candles. It was just straight red, 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 red. So take some profits once it starts consolidating and forming some green candles, some bullish dojis. Take some profits there. So that's one tip that I can give you in terms of profit taking, right? There's going to be times where it's just you're buying puts and it's straight red candles and there's no reason to be selling into those red candles unless you hit a very key make it or break it support like this pre-market support. That was very key support with big upside potential. So if it hits that key level and doesn't crack through instantly, it is wise, even if the candle is red, to just kind of start closing out the position. That's one of the reasons why I sold too soon, because it was at resistance and it sold off so quick, so fast to the pre-market support here, and I didn't want to risk getting squeezed back up. So yeah, that was the first play. Now, in terms of the other plays, the middle of the day, I was off. So what I've been noticing lately is my best plays have been during the most volatile time periods. I actually find trading to be the most easiest when it's the most volatile and the momentum's there. It's a lot easier in my opinion. But those were the overall best moves in terms of this week. With timing, it's during the most volatile hours. That's what I've noticed for me this week. Middle of the day, I wasn't trading at good prices. So one thing that I do want to bring awareness to in terms of the SPY guys, on puts, focus on major resistance, and on calls, focus on major dips. And that's one thing that I want to bring a lot of awareness to. Do not be entering scalps at not key levels. If it's not a key make it or break it level, if it's not a great level, if you're looking to buy puts at heavy support, don't do it. If you're looking to buy calls at heavy resistance for a breakout, don't do it. So in terms of breakdowns, I really don't play breakdowns with puts. And in terms of breakouts, I really don't play breakouts with calls. There are very rare exceptions. For the most part, I would not do it. I would just avoid that and focus on puts at resistance and calls on dips. Now, obviously, it's not simple as that. But in terms of key levels and price, that's one thing that I would really focus on and try to avoid being a breakout trailer, a breakout trader, and a breakdown trader in terms of puts, and a breakout trader in terms of calls, right? If you do that, you'll be in much better situations and you'll be trading less and profiting more, and you won't be fighting overall trends. Another key opportunity for puts, big shout out to Stanimal who mentioned this in the chat. SPY had very strong support at 365. It cracked, big downside potential. So again, if you see the SPY crack a key support level with nice upside and now it has big downside, what do? You wait for it to rip all the way back up to that previous support where it had big downside potential. It went from 365 all the way to 360.60, guys. A 4.40 cent pullback from that crack. So you better believe if we rip back up to that previous support and you see it consolidating at those highs, forming those red candlesticks, cracking support, pushing back up, forming the lower high, turning this previous point into resistance right here, bearish confirmation to play puts into lower highs, you better believe puts are going to print again. That was the main play of the day, and I didn't play that, unfortunately. So just remember that pattern. SPY's at key support. It cracks the support, has a massive pullback. Don't play the puts. Wait for it. Wait for it to go back up to the previous support. Then play the puts. You could have done it right here too. It cracked through that 365 level. It ripped back up. Oh no, so it didn't rip back up to 365, so never mind. But that's the point that I wanted to bring awareness to, right? So this right here. What I'm telling you is when it cracks this key support and has a big overreaction sell-off, that's what you want. The bloodier the better, the quicker the better. And then you want it to pump right back up, overreaction both ways. Once it pumps right back up to your previous support, wait for it to react as a resistance. See how it's reacting as a resistance. It's starting to pull back. Wait for it to push back up. It's forming the lower high with the bearish candlestick, turning the previous support, the previous lows of these candles into resistance. Play the puts. That's what you want to focus on, man. Let the trades come to you. Wait for the overreactions to occur. Don't try to be, one of these guys who's saying, oh, there's support right here. I think it's going to crack. Let me play some puts. Avoid that. Just wait for it to crash. And then when it rips back up, then play the puts. Previous support reacts as a resistance. Don't play the puts when it's at support. Play the puts when previous support reacts as a resistance. Just make sure that that previous support had a big sell-off very, very quickly, and then it rocketed back up very, very quickly. Overreaction works both ways. And then play the reversal once you see that SPY's forming resistance. Look, it's at a roof. It's at a roof. It's forming a roof. It starts to pull back. Wait for it to rip back up a little bit. Previous support right here reacts as a resistance. Play the puts. Rinse and repeat. Do that on autopilot. Do that on autopilot. So if you're seeing that, there's key support at 365, nice upside potential here, and it cracks and has a big sell-off, set your price alert for the previous support. Boom, set your price alert at 365. Once it triggers, wait for the resistance to form, wait for the confirmation, wait for the backside where lower highs start to form, previous support reacts as resistance, play the puts. And don't keep playing them at that same level. It's a one-time deal. It's a one-time deal. The first time it rips back up to 365. Not the second time, not the third time, not the fourth fucking time. The first time. That's the best advice I can give you in terms of put options at key breakdown levels, right? Because if SPY's going to have a massive sell-off at a key support level and instantly rip back up, odds are that previous support is no longer support and it's going to react as a resistance level. You just need to wait for the confirmation of the roof to form, wait for the pullback, and then once it rips back up, see if it's forming lower highs. The top of these candlesticks are at the previous support level right here. That's bearish with a bearish confirmation. Puts, printed, right? So that's one tip that I want to give you in terms of today. Now, this is the best trade that I had today. I alerted call options on SPY, a 361 strike when this was at 2:58 p.m. So you have to ask yourself, how was it possible for me to alert call options at 2:58 p.m.? This and the puts in the morning were the best trades that I made today. Midday, I was very sloppy. But this right here, how was I able to do this? I alerted call options right here. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When the SPY is beaten down towards the low end of the channel, and when I'm saying low end of the channel, I'm not just referring to intraday support, right? I'm referring to like 5-day channels, some daily channels. So, low end of the channel, if we look at the overall chart, you can see the low end of the channel was right around here. $361 to $359. This is your low end of the channel. Big upside potential, big upside potential. There's a gap to fill above. This just gapped down and got wrecked. Oh, let me bring some awareness to this as well. Best level for puts possible tomorrow is 370.53. Just want to bring awareness to that too. But we should see a little pullback at 360.95. But like I said, if you see the SPY overreaction to the downside like today, and it's towards the low end of the channel. It could be like a 2-day channel, a 5-day channel. It's towards the low end of the channel, and it's beaten down, and we are approaching 3 p.m., which is power hour. That's when the market picks up. It gets very volatile. You can see some pumps. You can see some spikes at that time. You're going to want to play calls. Look to play calls in that situation for the most part. Not all the time, but for the most part, you're going to want to play calls. When it's at the low end of the channel, it had a recent pump, gets slammed back to the low end of the channel. Calls have been getting destroyed for a large portion of the day. When would it make sense for the calls to print? When they are beaten down the most, when theta decay has devalued the fuck out of the contracts, and when SPY is extremely oversold at the low end of the channel. In 3 p.m., volume comes in and it makes sense for calls to pump because it's at heavy support. Calls have been beaten down for the most part all day, and theta decay. They need some sort of pump. So that's the key tip that I want to give you guys with trading the SPY. It's the calls at 3 p.m. play. You want to wait for it to get beaten down, a big sell-off where puts have been printing all day, and then you see it consolidating at right before 3 p.m. It's consolidating. It's at key support. It's at the low end of like a 3-day channel, a 5-day channel. Play the calls. Play the calls. And that's exactly what I did. And those calls did very, very well. I scalped them very in and out very, very quickly. I sold it when it hit like 360.80 for a nice little win. And that was that. And it kept on pumping as it, tends to do during that time. But yeah, those are the reasons why I played calls. And, there was just very strong support here at $360 and it had a nice pump to 361.45. And this was right before power hour and it gets slammed right back down at that key time. And everybody knows, SPY likes to, well, not everybody, but if you've been observing it, SPY likes to pump right at like 2:58 to 3 p.m. right at that time frame. So you start buying the dip if it's towards the low end of the channel, like it was. Very low risk play. If it were to crack, you just look to scale out. Or you can average down a little bit, hold a tiny bit lower. If it doesn't work out, you just cut it. Very, very low risk play in that situation. And it was already showing signs that it was bullish. And if you look at the trend right here, it just kind of slid down a little bit. And then it just had this nice little pump. It just kind of slid down a little bit, had this nice little pump. It looked like history was going to repeat itself. And it looked like we were going to see some sort of spike. So I played the calls using that history repeats it pattern. And that was the phenomenal trade of the day. So yeah. Those are the lessons to be learned. That's what I wanted to mention in this video. I hope that helps and that should add some useful trading tips in terms of trading the SPY. Heading into tomorrow, the best level possible for puts is $370.53. We have a gap to fill. We should see some sort of pullback at $369.50. Those are your best key make it or break it levels. For puts, I do want to see how we react towards some resistance at 368.45 here as well. A lot of pre-market resistance. So we'll see heading into tomorrow. And I explained to you, the bullish and the bearish thesis and what it is to look for. Remember, if it reacts bearish at the key level, then it's going to be micro bearish. If it reacts bullish at the key level, then it's going to be micro bullish. So we'll see how it reacts and we'll wait and see. And remember the trading tips that I've given you. I've gave you some very good tips on the puts with the previous support reacts as a resistance first time. And I also gave you a very good tip on the calls, the power hour call play. If SPY is beaten down, I gave you all the reasonings why. So yeah, if you do want to be a part of Trader Society, that's going to be the first link down below in the description. Once you join Trader Society, it's lifetime access. It's a one-time fee, and you get access to everything included on the page. So if you want to read about it and get to learn more about Trader Society, it's the first link down below in the description. You get access to the video lesson library. This is where you will learn how to trade calls and puts. You will learn how to trade both ways. You will learn how to scalp like a master. You will learn how to master the SPY. You will learn the unique price action gap trading strategies that I've created. You will learn risk management, price action, trend analysis, how to trade the trend, how to trade trend reversals, risk management, position sizing, psychology, and mindset to trading. We're always adding new things as well within Trader Society as a whole. You also get access to the chat room, the networking opportunities within the chat room, the real-time scalp alerts, the real-time trade alerts, the stock analysis, and the watch list that I give out. You get access to direct messaging one-on-one with me, along with the members within the Discord who can help assist you as well. And there's so much more to it. If you want to check it out, the live trading streams, there's so much more to it. If you want to check it out, it's the first link down below in the description. For those of you who actually are in Trader Society, make sure you look at the announcements section. There has been a new indicator, and I would encourage you to test it out. I've heard very, very good things by people who I'm very well connected with, and it's been working for them, and they've passed it on to me. So I would encourage you to test out that indicator. Test it out, see if it does well for you. Try it for like a week and see how it goes. It's an indicator within Trader Society, and it's a trend reversal indicator. I've heard very good things. A couple people within Trader Society have been experimenting with it before I gave it to everyone within Trader Society. And they've been saying very good things, and they've been saying it's working for them. And I've been observing it and evaluating it, and it seems to be doing very, very well. So that's something that if you like, I would encourage you to check that out. You can add it to your Thinkorswim charts. If you want access to all this, it's the first link down below in the description. I will see you guys tomorrow live at Open.